This lighting is pretty bomb. I wonder if this classes as golden hour. Phone on silent. Yes. Hello, Just Gem here, and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. As you have already guessed from the title and indeed the thumbnail, I'm here to tell you why you do not need the Ellis and Blend Bunny collaboration palette. Now, I don't know if you're anything like me. I followed Blend Bunny for a while, I follow them on social media. I've never bought a palette from them though, because postage to the United Kingdom is extortionate. So I go through this process of going on the Blend Bunny website, putting a palette or two in my basket, going to the checkout as if postage is suddenly going to have miraculously declined since the last time I went through this exercise, and invariably I don't end up purchasing a palette. When the collaboration with Ellis came out, I saw this palette and I found it very aesthetically pleasing, and I have to admit I wanted it. Now, on a side note, I know a lot of people who from the packaging thought it was going to be a much grungier, gothy type palette, so when they saw the reveal, if anything, they were put off by the fact it was a rainbow palette. That kind of dealt with those people who were expecting something else, got a rainbow palette, were disappointed, so it was no longer something that they wanted. I didn't really have any expectations upon seeing this palette. I don't think I expected it to be a rainbow palette, but I wasn't excited or disappointed or anything like that, but I just saw it and I thought to myself, that's the kind of palette that would fit very nicely into my collection. But again, the postage put me off, so I didn't pull the trigger. However, if you're on social media and you follow Blend Bunny and or Glisten Cosmetics, you will know that Glisten Cosmetics now stocks selected Blend Bunny item, including, you've guessed it, the Ellis collab. Not only that, even though there is a slight markup, well, there's a slight markup, but then when you consider how much postage you'd be paying if you were buying it directly from the Blend Bunny website, it works out cheaper. Plus, there was, I don't know if there is, let me check. Plus there's a promotion running where you can get 25% off. In fact, I'm just going to double check that promotion is indeed still happening. Yes, it is. So there's a promotion running at the moment where you can get 25% off. So it's very tempting. When it got added to the Glisten website and I found out it had been added to the Glisten website, of course, I went through that entire process again of going onto the Glisten website, putting it into my basket and seeing how much it would be. And seeing how much it would be, I was tempted. I was really, really tempted. And then I had to have a word with myself, because really, if you're an avid collector of eyeshadow palettes like me, you've already got this palette. Chances are you've got this palette 10 times over. And you're probably thinking, no, I don't have this palette. Question: do you own the Beauty Bay 42 Pan Brights palette? And you might be saying, yes, I do own that palette, Gem, but that palette's got shimmers in it. Okay, fine. Do you own the Beauty Bay 42 Pan Bright Matte palette? Do you maybe have any Be Perfect palettes in your collection? And are you now shrinking down in your chair because you've guessed where I'm going with this? I own, and currently on my eyes, is the Carnival XL Pro palette. And this one isn't even the closest to the Ellis palette, but it's a pretty solid rainbow palette, as demonstrated by my rainbow eye look. If you've got the Carnival XL Pro, chances are you do not need the Ellis palette. And if we're to get even closer, if you've got the Carnival XL Pro Remastered, which is this palette here, minus the highlight shades that are on the side, and I think it's got the fan favourites from a few of the other Carnival palettes. So I think that's what makes up the Carnival XL Pro. If you've got that, I mean, we'll get even warmer. And closer still, if you've got the Carnival Interstellar palette, I'd say that that is the closest one. And someone, is it Elgram Makeup? I'll find her handle and I'll insert it here, but she's done this amazing comparison, and you might even sit there and watch that comparison and say to yourself, they're different enough. Possibly the differences are going to be subtle, they are, but sometimes, a lot of the times, when it comes to them being on the eye, they're really not that different. They're really, really not. What I'm trying to do now, what I'm trying to do in general, is be an over-consumer. Yes, I love makeup. Yes, makeup brings me joy. But it's not financially viable to buy every single palette that looks pretty. So I'm trying to be more considered. When a palette comes out, I think about the palettes that I've got in my collection. So that's what I did with the Ellis collaboration. I think it was probably a lot easier for me to do this with that when the postage was so high from the US to the UK. So if anything, I was looking for reasons to deter myself even more from purchasing it. When it came to the Glisten website, it's almost like I had to do that exercise all over again. My collection hadn't changed, but it's just because it was suddenly more affordable to get it to me. And with that 25% discount, it suddenly became appealing again, despite the fact I'd gone through this exercise of considering what I've already got and realising that I really didn't need to buy this palette. And another thing you're probably thinking is, oh, but yes, I have quite a few rainbow palettes, I fully admit that, but what's really appealing to me is those special shades in the middle. Are you telling me that you are going to shell out, insert price here, on a palette just for those special shades running down the centre? Does that really make sense to you? Is that value for money? No, it's not. You may not have the Beauty Bay palettes and you may not have the Carnival palettes, but there's a good chance that you've got other rainbow palettes. And if you're a Blend Bunny fan, you may already have blends. And again, if you've got blends, do you need the Ellis palette? Because it's a bit of a copy, paste and expand, really, the Ellis palette. So if you've got blends, and I've seen comments to this effect as well, that the Ellis palette is a bit of a combination of a few of the Blend Bunny palettes that are already out. But in particular, you know, just looking at them side by side, blends and the Ellis palette, if you've got blends, you don't need Ellis. I mean, does anyone need an eyeshadow palette? No, it's all about want, really. We're living in an age where life is expensive. It's expensive to live. You've got to be more thoughtful about what you're buying. If you've got the disposable income for that, fabulous. I do enjoy buying makeup. I really love applying makeup. I find it therapeutic. I love being creative. I love the creativity that makeup brings out of me. But it's expensive and you can't keep up with every single makeup release there is. We're being inundated with products at the moment. So I think not just with the Ellis palette, but anything that we're buying when it comes to makeup, anything that's not an essential, it's not feasible to buy every new release that comes out. And I'm trying to think about what I already have when a new palette comes out. I try to look at it and think, well, what do I have that is similar? What looks am I thinking of when I'm looking at this palette? And can I get those looks from what I already have? And is it annoying to potentially have to dip into more than 2 palettes, say, to create a look? Possibly. That's what I'm trying to do. Every now and again, yes, there will be a palette that comes out and you look at it and in the back of your mind you're thinking to yourself, I'm sure I've already got that, but you still want it anyway. And by all means, you know, who am I to tell you not to purchase something? If you already own those Beauty Bay palettes, if you already own every single Carnival palette, if you already own blends and indeed every other palette that Blend Bunny has brought out, but you've seen the Ellis collection and you still want it, by all means fill your boots, you know. If you're a collector and there's nothing on this earth that would stop you from buying it, then obviously go ahead. But if you're on the fence and you're really debating it, these are things to think about. Is it something that is really going to enhance your collection? Is it something that you genuinely don't already have? And at a time when we could probably use the money somewhere else, I think sometimes it's good to stop and think, you know, put it in your basket, leave it over a weekend, maybe put it in your basket after a payday, you know, when you know you don't have the money, and if you still want it come next payday, buy it then. Don't feel that you need to buy something as soon as it comes out, and don't feel that you need to buy it at full price either. Wait for a sale, wait for a really good discount code. I know that a lot of the times you can get 10% off, and that can sometimes tip the scale, but sit tight because inevitably there'll be a 20% discount code, there'll be a sale that slashes the price more than that, so sit tight. So yeah, this doesn't just apply to the Ellis palette. I think when it comes to the colour story it does, but when it comes to purchases in general, I think it's just about being mindful, to be honest. I'm going to stop, and I don't want to appear to be on my high horse. I shall get down from it if that's how it does appear. But as always, thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and hopefully I'll see you again in a video in the not too distant future. Bye!